Finding out you're pregnant is life-changing for anyone. But imagine discovering those two pink lines when you don't have a roof over your head, no doctor to call, and your next meal isn't even guaranteed. That is the reality for thousands of homeless women across America who've become experts at navigating pregnancy with nothing but street smarts and sheer determination. I learned about this firsthand while volunteering at a women's shelter in Los Angeles. Jessica, a 26-year-old who'd been living in her car for 8 months, told me with tears in her eyes, when I saw that positive test, my first thought wasn't baby names or nursery colors. It was, where am I going to sleep tonight that's safe enough for two of us? She wasn't alone in that fear. Studies show that approximately 15,000 homeless women give birth each year in the United States, most without any prenatal care. Their stories aren't just about survival. They're about incredible resourcefulness in the face of challenges most of us can't even imagine. These women have figured out how to monitor their own health, find free resources, and protect their growing babies using knowledge passed down through informal networks that operate like underground medical schools. Let's talk about that positive pregnancy test first, because getting one when you're homeless is a whole different ballgame. Most women can just run to the drugstore and grab a test. Free clinics become the go-to spots, but they often have waiting lists longer than a DMV line. Maria, a woman I met at the shelter, told me she waited 3 weeks just to confirm what her body was already telling her. By the time they confirmed it, I was probably 8 weeks along, she said with a knowing smile. Your body doesn't lie. The morning sickness doesn't wait for official confirmation. Many homeless women have learned to recognize pregnancy symptoms better than some doctors. They trade knowledge like currency. Missed period plus sore breasts plus that weird metal taste in your mouth equals time to find a clinic, as one woman explained to me like she was reciting a medical textbook. The free pregnancy tests at women's shelters and health departments are worth their weight in gold, but you've got to know where to find them. Women create mental maps of every location that offers free testing, complete with notes about which places have the shortest wait times and which staff members are actually kind. The clinic on 5th Street opens at 7 a.m., but you need to get there by 6:30 or you won't be seen that day, explained Sandra, who'd been homeless for 2 years. She developed what she called her healthcare treasure map, marking every free resource within a 10-mile radius. According to recent data, only 32% of homeless pregnant women receive prenatal care in their first trimester, compared to 78% of housed women. That's not because they don't care. It is because the system makes it nearly impossible to access care when you don't have an address, insurance, or even a phone number for callbacks. Some women band together to share pregnancy tests. One woman buys a pack of cheap test strips online when she has a few dollars, then shares them with others who might need them. We're like a pregnancy test lending library, joked one woman at the shelter. Except instead of books, we're sharing pea sticks. Not exactly what I imagined doing with my life, but here we are. The moment of seeing that positive result brings a flood of emotions that housed women might never fully understand. It's not just excitement or fear. It's the immediate calculation of how to survive the next 9 months without a home, doctor, or safety net. As Jessica told me, most women worrying about what color to paint the nursery. I was worrying about what park bench would be safest to sleep on. But once that pregnancy is confirmed, the real challenge begins. Finding prenatal care without insurance or a permanent address. Free clinics exist, but knowing how to navigate them is like learning a secret language. Community health centers are required by law to serve everyone regardless of ability to pay, but homeless women face barriers that most people never consider. No permanent address means no way to receive appointment reminders or test results. No phone means no way for clinics to call you back. No transportation means a 10-mile walk to the nearest clinic that accepts walk-ins. Jennifer, a former nurse who became homeless after a medical bankruptcy, taught me about the clinic rotation system. You can't just pick one clinic and stick with it, she explained. Some have monthly limits on patients, so you rotate. This clinic this month, that one next month. You keep your own records because they don't talk to each other. She showed me her makeshift medical file, a plastic bag containing handwritten notes, photocopied test results, and appointment cards from 6 different clinics. Better organized than some hospitals I've seen. Staying hydrated is a huge challenge when you don't have a home. Pregnant women need about 10 cups of water daily, but without a water bottle and with few public fountains, it's a constant mission. They know which fast food spots let them fill up a bottle without buying anything. Then there's morning sickness. Imagine dealing with nausea when you can't find a clean bathroom. One woman told me she became an expert on which alleys had the least foot traffic. It's a skill no one should ever have to learn. Sleep is another luxury they can't afford. While pregnant women need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, homeless women get about 4.5, often taking safety naps to stay alert and protect themselves. And nutrition, they become experts at reading labels at food banks, making sure every single bite counts for their baby. Their resilience is incredible, but nobody should have to endure this. Navigating pregnancy while homeless is a daily battle for survival, and nutrition is one of the toughest fights. Imagine needing 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day without a fridge. Milk spoils, so women get creative. They mix powdered milk in water bottles or rely on community meals. One woman told me, Tuesday night is mac and cheese at the church. That's my calcium night. For protein, canned tuna and peanut butter become lifesavers. They're the baby's building blocks when fresh meat isn't an option. Iron is crucial too, but supplements are rare. So they hunt for beans and fortified cereals, but the reality is harsh. Over half of homeless pregnant women suffer from anemia. They're told to avoid deli meats, but when a sandwich is your only meal, you don't ask what's inside. You're just grateful. It's a constant, impossible balancing act between medical advice and the urgent need to simply eat. The need for frequent bathroom breaks becomes more than an inconvenience. It becomes a defining factor in planning every movement. Women map out bathroom access along their daily routes like logistics experts. Pregnancy plus homelessness equals bathroom emergency planning, explained one woman. You know every public restroom within 10 blocks, which ones are usually unlocked, which businesses will let you use theirs, and which places to absolutely avoid. The third trimester brings the biggest challenges. The baby's movements, while wonderful, can make sleeping even harder. Finding a comfortable position on concrete or in a car seat becomes nearly impossible. Some women use donated blankets and clothes to create makeshift pregnancy pillows. I made a pillow out of a rolled-up jacket and slept on my side hugging my backpack, described Maria. OBGYN probably would have had a heart attack, but I made it work. Braxton Hicks contractions can be scary when you don't have easy access to medical care. Women learn to distinguish between false labor and real labor through community knowledge. Older women who've been through it become your unofficial doulas, said Jennifer. They teach you what's normal and what's a rush to the situation. That knowledge is more valuable than any pregnancy book. The psychological weight of pregnant homelessness is perhaps the heaviest burden. While other expectant mothers plan baby showers and nurseries, homeless women plan how to keep their babies safe after birth. Other pregnant women worried about car seat brands. Jessica said quietly, I was worrying about whether they'd take my baby away because I didn't have a home. Different kind of pregnancy anxiety. The fear of losing custody is real and constant. About 50% of homeless mothers have had children removed by Child Protective Services at some point. That statistic haunts pregnant homeless women throughout their pregnancy. Some women work frantically to secure housing before birth, knowing that hospitals often report homeless mothers to social services. Others make plans to stay with friends or family temporarily, even in difficult situations, just to have an address on paper. The judgment from others adds to the stress. Strangers feel entitled to comment on homeless pregnant women's situations. I had people tell me I shouldn't have gotten pregnant, Maria shared. tears in her eyes. Like I planned this, like I wanted my baby to be born into homelessness. The judgment hurts worse than sleeping on concrete, but the community of other homeless women provides support that outsiders rarely see. They share supplies, information, and encouragement. A woman who gave birth last month passes along baby clothes and advice to one who is due next month. We take care of each other in ways the system never could, explained Sandra. When you've got nothing, you've got each other. Sounds corny, but it's true. As the due date approaches, the planning intensifies. Because giving birth without a home requires preparation that would shock most people. Most pregnant women pack a hospital bag weeks in advance, filling it with comfortable clothes, toiletries, and items for the baby. Homeless pregnant women pack survival bags, trying to gather essentials they'll need when everything is in chaos. Finding a safe place to give birth is the ultimate goal. Most homeless women end up giving birth in emergency rooms, arriving in active labor because they had no prenatal care or regular OGYN appointments. The hospital social workers get involved immediately, which can be helpful or terrifying depending on the situation. I knew I had to get to a hospital, Jessica said, but I also knew that the minute I did, they'd start asking questions about where I was taking the baby home to. Scared me more than labor pains. Some women try to secure shelter beds in their third trimester specifically so they have an address to give the hospital. Maternity shelters exist in some cities, but they're rare and always full. Waiting lists can be months long. The few women lucky enough to get spots treat them like winning the lottery. I got into the maternity shelter at 32 weeks, shared one woman. First time in my pregnancy, I slept without fear. First time I could imagine actually bringing my baby somewhere safe. The actual labor and delivery bring unique challenges. Transportation to the hospital isn't guaranteed. Many homeless women wait too long to go because they unsure how the lines get there or afraid of the questions the lines face. Some call 911 only when labor is too advanced to hide. I had my baby in the ambulance, one woman told me. Couldn't afford to wait for a ride. By the time I admitted I needed help, she was coming. The paramedics were amazing, but it wasn't how I imagined my daughter's birth. Hospital staff reactions vary wildly. Some nurses and doctors are compassionate and helpful, connecting women with resources. Others are judgmental, treating homeless mothers as problems to be managed rather than patients to be cared for. The nurse who delivered my son held my hand and cried with me, Maria said. She made sure I got information about every program that might help. But the social worker who came the next day looked at me like I was garbage. That gap between kindness and cruelty is hard to process when you're vulnerable and bleeding and holding a newborn. After birth, hospitals typically keep mothers for 24 to 48 hours for vaginal deliveries, longer for C-sections. For homeless women, that hospital stay is often the only guaranteed safe, warm place with regular meals they'll have during the entire pregnancy and postpartum period. Some women try to extend their stays by mentioning complications, knowing that once discharged, they're back to the streets, but now with a newborn. The discharge planning is where things get complicated. Hospitals won't discharge a baby to someone without a safe place to take them. This is where women's earlier planning becomes critical. Those who manage to secure addresses, even temporary ones, have an easier time. Those who haven't faced the real possibility of losing custody immediately. Studies show that homeless women are 4 times more likely to have their newborns placed in foster care compared to housed mothers. That statistic isn't about their ability to parent. It's about the system's inability to support them. The women who manage to leave the hospital with their babies face yet another set of challenges, caring for a newborn without resources, but that's a whole other story of survival, creativity, and a mother's determination to protect her child against impossible odds. These women don't just deal with pregnancy without healthcare, they revolutionize what resilience means. They create their own support systems, their own medical knowledge, and their own determination to bring life into the world despite a society that's stacked against them. As Jennifer told me on my last day at the shelter, people look at us and see problems. We look at ourselves and see survivors. We grew humans while sleeping on concrete. We created life while society told us we didn't deserve to exist. If that's not strength, I don't know what is. The waiting rooms become a second home. Women arrive hours before opening time to secure a spot. Some clinics operate on a first-come, first-served basis, which means getting there at 5 a.m. for a 9 a.m. opening. I've watched more waiting room TV than anyone should, laughed Maria. I can recite every morning talk show script. At least it's warm inside, and sometimes they have crackers. Emergency rooms are technically required to provide stabilizing treatment, regardless of ability to pay, but many homeless women avoid them except in true emergencies. The bills that follow, even if you can't pay them, add to the debt that makes escaping homelessness even harder. Studies show that homeless pregnant women visit emergency rooms 4 times more often than housed pregnant women, but they receive 60% less preventive care. It's backwards healthcare treating crises instead of preventing them. Some women have learned to present their situation strategically. You can't go in there looking to put together, or they won't believe you need help. One woman shared, but you can't look too rough or they lines judge you and assume you're on drugs. It's a weird balance. I call it my clinic costume, clean enough to be taken seriously, struggling enough to get free care. The paperwork alone can be overwhelming. Applications for Medicaid pregnancy coverage, proof of income or lack thereof, identification requirements. When your ID was stolen 3 months ago and you don't have a mailing address to get a new one, these simple requirements become impossible barriers. That's why the women who've mastered the system become invaluable guides for others. They know which clinics accept alternative forms of ID, which social workers actually help instead of judge, and which programs don't require an address. This information gets passed around like sacred texts. Room 3 at the downtown clinic, ask for Nurse Patricia. She gets it, becomes the kind of recommendation that can change everything. But even when they manage to access clinics, the actual prenatal care is just the beginning. Taking care of yourself and a growing baby requires resources most of us take for granted. Prenatal vitamins are like gold bars on the streets. That bottle sitting in your medicine cabinet at home, most homeless pregnant women would consider that a luxury. The free samples from clinics run out fast, and buying them at a pharmacy means choosing between vitamins and food. One clever woman I met figured out that children's gummy vitamins plus iron supplements from the dollar store basically created a makeshift prenatal vitamin. Is it exactly the same? Probably not, she admitted. But it's better than nothing, and I can afford it. The folic acid requirement becomes particularly challenging. Doctors recommend 400 to 800 micrograms daily to prevent birth defects, but getting that consistently without reliable access to supplements or fortified foods takes creativity. Women learn which donated foods are naturally high in folate. Beans, lentils, leafy greens, and oranges become priority targets at food banks. Some women even create trading networks. I'll trade you my peanut butter for your spinach, becomes a common negotiation. My baby needs the folic acid more than I need the protein today.